Getting faster can be rather tricky, and while we've already spoken about getting started in F1 24, now that the version 1.3 patch has gone live with updated handling characteristics, it's about time we discuss more advanced tips. So in this video we're going to go through throttle techniques, braking techniques, steering, and more tips and tricks with the aim of refining your driving ability. So let's kick things off by slowing them down. The basic way to brake is in a straight line. Go to 100% brake pressure and lift off fully before taking the corner. This is perfectly straightforward, and if all corners were set up like this then we'd be fine, but because they aren't, you have to employ different techniques to optimise your braking across various tracks. Firstly is trail braking. This is the act of gradually coming off the brake pedal into a corner. Whilst an inexperienced driver might sharply come off the brakes when they're not needed anymore, drivers who use trail braking experience a much more settled car on corner approach. This is because the weight transfer from back to front is gentle, meaning the car is more balanced and has less chance of snapping out of control. Trail braking will also help keep the weight over the front axle into the corner, which results in additional grip from the front tyres. Looking at the telemetry on the Track Titan platform, we can see that by trail braking, the driver in blue can get on the throttle sooner compared to the driver in orange who does not trail brake. This is due to the blue driver waiting for the car to stabilise before accelerating, whereas the blue driver has already stabilised the car with trail braking and is ready to throttle away. In this one corner, the driver in blue gains a chunk of time over the driver in orange. So make sure you practice the trail braking technique, as it can be applied to almost any car you drive on any game to help you optimise braking. Next is progressive braking. This is the act of gradually applying brake pressure to ensure the wheels don't lock up and provide a slow weight transfer. This is not a technique required in most circumstances. It's more useful when the approach to the corner isn't straight. It allows you to bleed the speed off while also not overloading the tyres, causing a lockup. As you're developing your driving skills, progressive braking is a useful technique to use, as it allows you to learn braking limits and grip limits. Corners like turns 9 and 10 at Bahrain are a perfect example where progressive braking can be used whilst you're honing your skills and getting comfortable with the car. Now you've done the tricky bit of navigating the corner, let's discuss the throttle. There is a highly common mistake that we see drivers making very often, and that is being impatient and getting on the accelerator. You may see getting on the throttle sooner as a good thing, and for the most part, it is. But getting on the throttle too early means while you'll gain mid-corner speed, you'll actually lose exit speed. You see, remember we spoke about weight transfer during trail braking? Well, same happens while accelerating. Of course, on the throttle, it has the opposite effect to trail braking, as the weight transfer is from front to back. If you accelerate too soon in the corner, the weight will go towards the back and no longer be pushing the front tyres into the ground. Of course, this will mean you have less grip on the front tyres, and that will mean the speed that you can take the corner is lower than if the weight was over the front. In a lot of cases, those who accelerate too soon will have a higher minimum speed, but will stay at the minimum speed for longer, which is where they lose time. Whereas those drivers who are patient will drop to a lower speed briefly before being able to accelerate at a higher rate out of the corner. Now, it is worth mentioning that F1 cars are less susceptible to this mistake because of their high rate of downforce. Using the early throttle technique can sometimes benefit your exit in an F1 car, as the front wing can keep the front tyres pressed into the track. This is a very specific technique that can only be refined through time and practice. So while you're still developing your sim racing skills, it's better to err on the side of caution and not get on the throttle until you know you don't have to lift again before the next corner. You'll notice the difference between these two approaches, particularly in long corners, so be sure to test out different acceleration points on a circuit until you find the best one. Alternatively, on Track Titan, you can compare yourself against the professionals and see exactly where it is they start accelerating. Additionally, if you're watching this video, then you're probably not a complete novice to sim racing, and if this is the case, you may already be familiar with telemetry. If so, then we have something just for you. For those advanced drivers out there, Track Titan has Advanced mode. No need to click between tabs, carefully analysing each input individually. You can see all your driving inputs simultaneously and see exactly where you're losing time. If you sign up to Track Titan with the code F1 Advanced, you can get 30 days of unlimited data insights for free across any supported game you like. Now you've got your pedal inputs working better, let's take a look at the steering. It might be simple, but there are some common mistakes that we see a lot of drivers making. Firstly is understeer. This is where the front tyres lose grip and you use far more of the circuit grounds than you'd bargained for. We see a lot of especially novice drivers just turning more to try and combat this, but this is, in fact, one of the worst things you can do. Not only will it make the wheels more susceptible to locking up, but it will cause additional tyre wear as well. Understeer is caused by the car going too fast for the front tyres to cope with the direction change. So if you're going at a reasonable speed, what could be the problem? It could be down to anything from the tyres being worn, the wrong line through the corner, incorrect braking technique, or even just the wrong setup if you want to go a little bit more in depth. So when you experience understeer, ensure you are trail braking, avoid the throttle and try a different line, just find out what works for you. Now let's flip to oversteer. This is the opposite of understeer as the front does in fact turn, a little too much in fact, and consequently your back end rotates out of control. This will normally occur on corner exit as you're accelerating when the weight transfer to the rear overloads the tyres and the car can no longer stay in a straight line. Regardless if you slide and catch it or spin out completely, both of these things will lose you time, so understanding the grip limit is essential. When you start to accelerate out of a corner, you want to get to 100% throttle as soon as possible, but not at the expense of grip. This is why you'll see drivers modulating the throttle out of the corner to ensure the car stays pointing forwards. So if you are experiencing oversteer, be patient on the throttle and wait until you know you can accelerate without the car losing traction. If you're unsure on either of these 2 points, don't forget you can analyse your telemetry against professional drivers to see how they are going quicker. But that's about it for us today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something today and can take it forwards in your own sim racing. Don't forget to sign up with the code F1 Advanced to get 30 days of unlimited data insights on Track Titan. But as always, thank you for watching, see you again in the next video, drive safe and race with respect.